Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today I'm gonna be talking about the two well-known approach to analyze and track cyber intrusions by any actor. We're gonna start with a diamond approach, or I'll call that the diamond model, to be short. So the diamond model was first created by the United States intelligence community, in which it was created to serve and aid researchers, cyber team or cyber threat researchers to find out where an attack is coming from. To put in short, so a good example is our past, let's say last year, incident. What happened to the kernel pipeline is, well, all I know during my research was it was hacked by virtual private network with a password, and that's how they were able to gain access through it. So that's the infrastructure part. And usually the adversary stands from where or who the attack is coming from, and the TTP or capability is the what type of, let's say, day. It was a 4-day 0-day vulnerability target. So it was they found the vulnerability and they targeted and they were able to gain it. So that's what it means. And the victim is self-explanatory who the victim is. So the victim in this case was the colonial pipeline. So the colonial pipeline was the victim, and the infrastructure they use a virtual private network password crack to be able to gain access to their network and demand, I believe was a ransomware, demand money in Bitcoin. And as any cybersecurity professional would say, this approach is self-explanatory but yet sometimes confusing. So it was deployed via virtual private network, and when it comes to the adversary, I believe till now we still don't know who the adversary was. It can come from anywhere, and demanding the ransom in crypto. They were able to get a hold of our pipelines, and gas prices went up the roof, and everything was in their hands until the United States paid them the money they required. So this helps organization to detect, or any government agency or an individual to detect where the threat came from. So that's where we don't know who or what the adversary was. So that's a good example. And when it comes to the cyber kill chain model, or how it works in my case, it has eight let's say eight core kill chain, whereby it follows in a linear pattern. So if we were to talk about the differences between the diamond and the cyber kill chain, the biggest difference is that the cyber kill chain follows on a linear pattern, and the diamond follows on a, let's say, can go any way, can go up, down, left, right, can go in circles, it can go anyway. That's how the diamond chain works, as we all know how a diamond looks like, or how it's shaped. So talking about the cyber kill chain model, we have the reconnaissance, the intrusion, exploitation, privilege escalation, the lateral movement, the anti forensics, I believe, denial of services, and exfiltration. exfiltration. So I'm gonna explain what each one does and how it falls into, or how organizations use this to backtrack or trace any mishaps. So when it comes to every heist, you first have to go scope, let's say the the place you're trying to rob. Like, that's another example. So you first have to scan and see how you gain access to that facility or building, and that's the first one. That's the reconnaissance, is scoping out and investigating the infrastructure that you're trying to gain access to, either outside in or inside while you're in there. And the intrusion is you gathering any intel you could find during your time, or during your snooping around, any vulnerability you can find to be able to launch your exploitation. And that's when the heist begin, or that's when the actual work begin, by gathering all the perimeters and getting ready to breach the organization. And privilege escalation is sometimes you may need, let's say, an admin password on a higher level clearance to gain more access to the infrastructure you try to gain access to. So that's when the admin comes in, or extra, let's say, help from the outside. You need a security code to get into the vault. That's another example. You need in the eye scan or finger scan or fingerprints to get into the vaults in order to get the money out. So that's what privilege excuse me privilege escalation is. And once they are in the system, they tend to, let's say, gain breach into the system level by level, or gain more leverage. So with the higher permission, with them gaining the admin password, they keep bridging into different, let's say, policies that has been placed for the organization. And the anti-forensics is, in order for any heist or any attack to work, you need to create a diversion, whereby you are going to create a false trail, lay a false trail, for if any person could fall for it, follow that false trail to a different location, whereby it gives you enough time for you to do what you have to do to gather all the necessary data you came for and leave without a trace. And denial of service is disruption any normal access for users in the system in order to stop the attack from coming or being monitored and tracked or blocked by any higher ups, if when an attack is happening. So they follow these steps in order to gain access. And the exfiltration is the extraction point, whereby they've gathered all the necessary data and they are out of the system without compromising or without being caught. So usually organizations follow these steps. If they, or a hacker follows these steps, if they want to gain access to any infrastructure. And when it happens that way, and when the organization is backtracking, they tend to follow these exact steps. They go back and see and think as a hacker and see how they got in, and see how they gain all these access and how they were able to get out, to see where the attack came from. But it does not really, it gives you I'll say more steps for you as a cybersecurity professional. I would prefer the diamond approach because it can come from anywhere, but with these four, it gives me time for me to lay it out, for me to see, and for me to know, to hypothesize where it can come from, and then I start branching out from there. So if it comes from, let's say, if I'm able to gather the adversary, the infrastructure, and the victim, then I need to find out the TTP capability and the development, the type of exploit they use. So it can come from any approach. So that's why I'll say I prefer this, and usually the motive behind any hack or this type of approach, or let's say any hackers approach to gain access, is can be for political reasons, money, anything. But for organizations, usually is for data and information, and this approach helps them to detect where it's coming from in order for them to patch up their network and see if there's any leaks. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.